The best laid plans of mice and men. You know, I don't like this actually. I know it's a bit dark. It's kind of warm in here. Yeah. So I was on time, ready to start, hit the button, and then it told me that some of my Facebook connections had disconnected. Told me to go to settings. I went there, and then it told me to reboot my computer. So here we go. Software is fantastic when it works properly. When it doesn't, well, you all know the story. Anyway, so here we go. Without further ado, here is today's reading. Welcome. A confidence wardrobe. A confidence wardrobe. First quote is from American actress Blake Lively and businesswoman, I guess, as well. The most beautiful thing you can wear is confidence. The most beautiful thing you can wear is confidence. And from 10 Ideas That Make a Difference, from Ernest Holmes, on page 53, paragraph 4. Love begets love. Confidence inspires confidence, and faith is met with faith. So, what does Reverend Michelle Medrano make of all this? We can get pretty caught up in what we wear or how we look. True. This was a big concern for me at one point in my life. I never wanted to leave the house unless I was dressed perfectly, with makeup and lipstick. Must have lipstick. I'm going to come back to that. I don't wear lipstick, but I'm going to come back to it though. However, I noticed that putting on all the right stuff, even the lipstick, did not make me feel better inside if I was frustrated, upset, or full of critical thoughts about myself. They don't make the right lipstick for that. Nor do the right clothes cover up that energy. That is the thing. Sometimes we focus on the wrong thing. We might work hard to build up the right image. What? With the world of form. Yet it cannot cover up the insecurity or lack of confidence we keep feeding on in the inside. We must find confidence in ourselves. This confidence cannot be based on the idea that we will always do everything perfectly or even right. No one actually has that experience. That is the stuff of fairy tales. The confidence I am speaking of comes in the form of thoughts and ideas that who we are is enough. That no matter what happens, we have the emotional and the spiritual maturity to handle it. It comes with our willingness to have the courageous conversations and bring who we are to our conditions and our relationships. It's the best thing we can wear anywhere, even better than lipstick. Well, I don't know what the male equivalent of lipstick is. Shaving. Well, some people have beards. Trimming your beard, maybe that's the same thing. Or just wearing the right clothes. I've got to say this, that my wife is really, how shall I say, she's really, really certain that she has to wear lipstick before she goes out in public. Why? It all goes back to when she was a teenager, and her mother was a nice lady, but said to her, not thinking very clearly, I guess, "You look like a dead Indian, put on some lipstick." But see, that idea stuck with her, and she is convinced when she goes out, she has to wear lipstick. Now, I'm not saying she's not confident on the inside. She is, but the lipstick thing just kind of came to mind. So the whole point, obviously, of the message is that inner confidence isn't acquired by what we wear or how we project ourselves from the outside. It's really what's going on inside. But I don't think there's anything wrong with dressing for the occasion. I really don't. And I don't think Reverend Michelle does either. But I gotta say this for my colleague, Reverend Lisa. You know, when I grew up, and it's still stuck in my head, you know, when you go to church, quote unquote, I use that term loosely, whether it's a temple, it's an actual church, it's a spiritual center, it's a mosque, it's a religious gathering of some sort. You know, ingrained in me is the fact that if it's Sunday, you've got to look really presentable. You know, ideally you've got, if you're a man, wear a suit. If you're a woman, wear, you know, business, at least business casual. But my colleague, Reverend Lisa, goes against the grain, and she effectively wears what she feels like. And it's not always dressy to the occasion. And she doesn't care, and she gets up on the stage altar, whatever you want to call it, and she does her thing up there, and she really doesn't care what clothes she's wearing, to a certain extent, I guess. Yeah, if it comes to a special occasion, like an ordination, like, you know, a wedding or something like that, yes, she will actually dress because that's kind of required. But I really admire her that she doesn't feel inclined to have to dress up to go to, quote, church, unquote. So I think that to me expresses exactly what Reverend Michelle's saying, that you don't need that outer stuff if you feel confident inside. Now, that doesn't mean to say if you feel confidence inside, you shouldn't wear all the good attire. No, not at all. The two things are not synonymous, but I really admire her, you know. Now, I don't know what she wears when she does her daily broadcast, because I don't always watch it, and sometimes you only kind of see this much anyway. So I thought I would just mention that. That's an example of somebody who feels confident to get up in front of the world, as it were, and she really doesn't care what she's wearing, you know. So there you are. That's a perfect example of what Reverend Michelle is talking about here. So, Lisa, keep it up. You know, at Creative Life Spiritual Center, we really, amongst ourselves, we don't use terms like Reverend or Reverend Doctor and all the rest of it. We kind of just use our own first names. So maybe I should be called the Irreverent David. I don't know, but there you are. So I would like to end with a prayer, and my prayer is this: that knowing that there are lots of places in this world where people are unsafe, insecure, food insecure, I'm knowing that the human race is moving towards a point in its existence where it can take care of all of its members. And I'm knowing that the places where discussions are being held right now for peace, lasting peace, are becoming fruitful. And I release this word into that divine law that is responsible for bringing all this about. And in gratitude, I say thank you, and so it is. And that's it for me for today. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully at 5 o'clock, technology notwithstanding. And Reverend Lisa will be back tomorrow at 9:15, technology notwithstanding. So until next time, namaste.